Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons & Dragons, where we're starting to dip into a few other ttrpgs as well, but our main focus right now is the lore of Dungeons & Dragons. Well, right now we're continuing on with the Nine Hells, and we're going to talk about Levistus. But first, we're going to jump out to what the realm actually looks like, to give you an idea, because these all kind of reflect the actual person that is in charge of them. So, Levistus' realm was the icy ocean of Stygia, a plain of murky black waters with a twilit sky against a frozen white landscape of titanic icebergs. Its primary feature was the river Styx, which snaked through the plain and which it was named after. With Levistus in control of Stygia, the harsh, chilling realm became even more unbearable, with a sense of starvation and desperation permeating the denizens of the landscape. So what's really important to understand is that each devil that takes control over their realm influences that realm. And that starvation and desperation is really a big part of kind of who Levistus is currently. And Levistus is trapped in a huge block of ice, which is called the Tomb of Levistus, which we're going to get into right now. The Tomb of Levistus was about a quarter-mile in radius, with the archdevil imprisoned at its center. It had been repeatedly seen near or in the harbor of the city Tantalin, but otherwise aimlessly floated throughout the ocean of Stygia, occasionally getting stuck between larger icebergs at the outer reaches of the plain for years at a time, and sometimes passing in and out of the river Styx. Levistus was incapable of controlling the direction in which the iceberg moved, despite his regular attempts to do so, such as by having sails, rudders attached, and it was said that when the currents caused it to drift in an undesirable path, a light laughter of Asmodeus could be heard. Devils kept the tomb safe from above, specifically the Irenes devils. Those kind of look like succubuses, but they're not succubuses. While ice devils on ice flow rafts protected it from below. Although Gueglions were known to take bribes from visitors wishing to see the Prince of Stygia. Guelugons are another type of devil. So yeah, you could pay them off and go stare at the frozen archdevil of Stygia. The enchanted ice encasing Levistus was incredibly powerful and ancient, even by the standards of the Beitzu. Even if the snow and sleet of Stygia didn't freeze over most attempts to break through it twice as fast as the devils minded, its resistance to magic could best any attempts to summon and teleport Levistus out, even with wish and miracle magic failing. Only persistent destruction of the ice or melting it with fire, magical or otherwise, could permanently alter its shape. But even then, it almost immediately regenerated any attempts to free Levistus specifically. There was a magical method by which souls sacrificed to Levistus would empower him and melt the ice, but only good-aligned beings of fire would cause any significant change. Only Asmodeus seemed to be capable of freeing Levistus from his tomb, and only did so once a year, so that way he could skulkily attend the meetings of the archdevils in Nessus. I just wanted to pause the video for a moment and say a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. What you do is amazing. It helps us keep motivated, helps us keep pushing forward and trying new things and putting out new content. It's a big push for us to be supported by you guys outside of YouTube. It really means a lot, and thank you so much. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in the description, as well as the link to our World of Warcraft channel. Check us out there, and let's get right back into the video. All right, now let's get into the personality of the Archdevil of Stealing Her Girl. All right, unable to move in his frozen state, Levistus' mind was brooding, not only fully aware of his surroundings, but incredibly perceptive as a result of being detained for so long. With few distractions to occupy his mind, he could fully concentrate on maintaining and controlling his otherwise unfathomable network of agents and masterminding his plans, in Stygia or otherwise, to the smallest detail. Even before his imprisonment, Levistus had proven himself clever, charming, and capable enough for him to be given control over Stygia in the first place. Regardless, however, Levistus, who relished his graceful agility, was desired first and foremost to be freed of his humiliating and ironic immobility. Levistus almost always challenged his enemies to one-on-one duels to the death, not simply because he would normally have the advantage in such situations, but because of his own sense of honor and fair play. Yet despite the archdevil's strange chivalry, he was also infamously treacherous, having earned a reputation as a traitorous yet dashing debonair. His own rebelliousness was in fact one of his greatest flaws, as he could hardly restrain himself when given the chance to double-cross someone, even at his own detriment. His schemes had become more gradually placed and wider in scope while he was in prison, but the rakish rogue's inherent nature was to betray, leading him to hasten his plans. Further impeding him was the typical devilish megalomania was exacerbated by his blinding hatred and need for revenge after being trapped. So once he became trapped, he kind of just got really treacherous, because that's all he could really do. And considering people really couldn't see him, oddly enough, that made him kind of safe. So double-crossing people became a harder and harder thing for him to resist, again because he was trapped. Nobody could get to him except for Asmodeus, and when you're summoned to speak in Asmodeus' court for a meeting, you're safe because Asmodeus wants you there, and you don't want to piss off Asmodeus. So that's something really intricate, but it's one of his biggest crutches, is his inability to stop himself from betrayal and being treacherous. But that's something that comes up a lot. As the story went, Asmodeus' consort, Bensosia, the mother of Glacia, was traveling throughout Stygia inspecting the lair. Levistus ambushed her, although exactly how and why was disputed. Some said he non-violently approached, while others reported that he had first slain all her pit-fiend bodyguards, with the exception of one escapee, Asmodeus' constable, Martinet. Then Levistus either offered to make her his queen if she helped him oust her husband, confident she would know if he had a weakness, or simply tried to ravish her. When Bensosia refused him, Levistus angrily murdered her, and if her pit-fiend guards were still alive by that point, them as well. That was the tale told throughout the Nine Hells, but was quite possibly propaganda made to cover up Levistus' true crime and the role of another party. Bensosia was believed to have hated Asmodeus, and if she refused such an offer, it would have been for reasons other than loyalty. Instead, the alternative telling described the two as co-conspirators, each selfishly using the other as both a lover and as a means to undermine Asmodeus. However, the arrangement was jeopardized when Glacia became smitten with Levistus during one of his visits to Nessus. And seeing an opportunity to further turn Asmodeus' household against him, Levistus began a secret tryst with Asmodeus' daughter as well. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Steal Your Girl also stole your daughter. That's definitely a big aspect of Levistus, which is great. I think that's just awesome. But this story continues. Levistus knew too well that Glacia was immature and would react with violent envy if she discovered the truth, and that Bensosia would be similarly furious about his illicit activity. But continuing his facade regardless. Eventually, after one of her regular disputes with her father, Glacia fled into Levistus' arms, only to find Bensosia already occupying them. Turning her already hateful feelings towards her mother into raw, murderous rage, Glacia supposedly killed her mother herself, sneaking into her palanquin later and slitting her throat. Martinet, charged with upholding Asmodeus' regime, framed Levistus for the murder so Asmodeus could save face and slaughter the pit fiends in order to leave no potential witnesses. If the alternative story was to be believed, rather than out of fiery fury for his murderous consort, Asmodeus chose to imprison Levistus was a cold, rational move, done more so for the sake of precedence than personal satisfaction. Glacius' hatred for Levistus would also be fundamentally different. Not the righteous fury of a grief-stricken daughter, but the heartbroken anger of a betrayed partner. She was said to be obsessively focused on Levistus, suddenly switching between rage and pining, although some said her anger towards him was merely a ruse. So, there's a lot of conflicting stories here. Because on one hand, you have that Levistus wanted to, and obviously almost all the archdevils want to take over and steal the power from Asmodeus. But for him just to ambush and just say, hey, join me and help me kill your husband, like, doesn't really exactly float, because Asmodeus is just leagues above all the other archdevils. So it doesn't really constitute that being like a safe, sensible choice for her. But stealing her away and seducing her, that seems to really work quite well, to be honest. Even before being sealed away, Levistus attempted to make deals with those on the borders of the Nine Hells, particularly those who not under the control of Asmodeus, and so his influence afterwards extended beyond the Nine Hells. Yugoloths, power-hungry pit fiends, failing dukes of hell, and other outcasts were sought out by the Frozen Prince's agents, and made deals with Levistus. Most archdevils were uninterested in Levistus's plans involving the seemingly unimportant outer reaches of the Nine Hells, but by appealing to lesser dukes aiming to reclaim their former station. He gained access to useful spies to plant in their courts. He even fed false information to Asmodeus's double agents, causing them to fall out of favor with the Dark Lord and into his own clutches. After being returned to his former station, Levistus shortly began stockpiling a vast quantity of souls in his prison, while the devils of his lair starved for such things, sometimes offering a feast of souls to those willing to betray their masters in some way. He had his agents seduce mortals that were already being tempted by soul harvesters of other devils before bribing them with souls. The pride of most devils forbidding them from allowing their marks to suffer at the hands of others. While his hoarding ways got him branded as a miser, bribery wasn't the only point behind his behavior, for in truth his schemes were so unbelievable that most of his rivals likely would question its accuracy and possibility, if they were made aware. To starve his foes into submission, a large part of Levistus' network was in the outer regions of hell above Avernus, known as the Outer Torments. Once finally prepared, pirates trained by specially selected agents of Levistus and kept isolated and secret from one another would block the souls coming in through Avernus. As the servants of other archdevils became hungrier and more desperate, Levistus would use his enlarged coffers to tighten his grip over the layers of hell, expecting that the Dark Eight, which is the order of pit fiends that kind of controls everything below the archdevils, and even some of the archdevils kind of have to bend to the Dark Eight, some of which he had pacts with to turn on Bel due to his failure to prevent a catastrophe, and with the help of lesser archdevils like Moloch and Azazel, would send Avernus into chaos. This would render Avernus useless in providing souls and allow Levistus had his forces to converge on the forces between the first and the fifth layer, leaving the rulers of the sixth to ninth field trapped in their own domain until he finally descended on them. Whatever happened to this scheme, it was eventually abandoned in favor of a hastier approach against Asmodeus. So I know that sounded a little kind of crazy, but what that scheme is he would send pirates and he would bottleneck the entrance of souls into the Nine Hells. And the first to the fifth layers basically got nothing. And the other layers were trapped because if they moved towards Stygia, they'd have to deal with fighting Stygia, which is not a very easy landscape to fight on. in which case they would lose out, as all the souls and everything that Levistus was literally stealing from other archdevils were all being funneled to him, making him very, very powerful. He basically snaked away to steal souls from the first 4 layers of hell and choke the rest of them, which made him quite powerful. But then he drops this just randomly for something else, which is probably due to his insatiable need to betray. But this was actually a really, really clever plan, making him a very, very dangerous and smart archdevil. Levistus is one of those really powerful, cunning archdevils. He knows what's going on. He's one of the few people that really knows what time it is. He's very, very, very cunning. He's very smart. He's very treacherous. He is the archdevil of people who want to betray anyone, people who are desperately trying to survive something. Those are the people that usually make deals with Levistus. Levistus is this like attractive, swashbuckling rogue who is just everything that is problematic. He seduces everything in sight. He is a detriment to everything, and he is hated by Asmodeus. But they say that he was used to kind of blindside everyone while he gave Glazia power and gave her rule over her domain. So that's a really unique kind of circumstance, because it ended up being a situation that Asmodeus could play towards his favor. That being said, Levistus was one of the few people that is a real threat to Asmodeus. Like the archdevils out there, some of them are real threats, some of them are just people trying to fight outside of their weight class, basically. But there are a couple of genuine threats. There is Beelzebub, because he's a genuine threat. There is Levistus. And then there's going to be our next person we're going to talk about, Mephistopheles. With all that said and done, we're going to bring this video to a close. I hope you enjoy Levistus as much as I do. I think he's really great. I love that he's one of the few people that uses seduction to get what he wants, and he's not afraid to go way too far with it. He's an awesome character. He's very, very exciting. I really like what he does. He's one of those people that definitely shakes up the whole world around him, which is always really awesome to see happen. If you've had Levistus in your games, definitely let us know. Definitely mention him. Love to hear about your stories or any of your players that sold their souls to Levistus as a fiend patron. Definitely want to hear about that. Big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. What you do is absolutely amazing. Again, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in the description. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed us. And thank you for giving a spooky kid a chance.